Well, we started looking in 1978 for the Bonhomme Richard and 79. And then I came back again in 84 and did a short search for it. Now I'm back again. Well, I always said that I'd die happy if I found two wrecks. One was Confederate submarine Hunley, which I found, and then the other is, of course, the Bonhomme Richard, which still remains to be found. She's out here someplace, but the problem is there's just no information. Jones, none of the crew wrote, like we were 10 miles, 8 miles northeast of the head when it went down. Nothing like that. So there's no indication. It's out here someplace. We don't know where. We took where we thought the approximate battle was, and then we just drifted for 36 hours, because that's how long it took before the Richard sank.
Is that what this sheet's all about?
Yeah, this is the drift pattern right here.
What year did you do this, Clive?
79. We took our boat, and at the same time on the flood tide, we started drifting as he would have. And we drifted for 36 hours, which took us about 14 miles northeast of Flamborough Head. So that's an indication of where the fleet might have been. So we drifted this way, and then we drifted way up here.
Just tidal current, no
tidal
power
current,
whatsoever.
no nothing else, and then we wound up here in 36 hours.
This critical spot, identified by Clive, becomes the center point of their search grid.
You select what you call your grid, or we call it a ballpark, where you think it might be. And then you position it just like a big, say, a rectangle. And then you start mowing the lawn by going back and forth, and then moving, out with each lane that you search in hopes that you'll stumble across it. It's just like, let's say that you throw a rock in the middle of a lawn and you mow until you hit it.
How are we going to know the Richard when we see it? How is it going to look?
Hopefully. It'll be kind of a mound, I'm hoping about, 3-4 feet high, what they call a ballast mound. Naturally we expect to find cannon, laying around half buried. They have 40 tons of pig iron, which you find one pig iron bar with French on it, you got it. I mean, that's really identified. This is the most extensive expedition to search for the Bonhomme Richard. The ones that we had in 79, of course, we didn't have the technology we have today. And so it was a much more difficult search.
A hunt of this magnitude deserves the best electronic search equipment available.
Run that up to 1,000.
The main tool will be the side-scan sonar with its metallic towfish. The side scan would print out a crude picture of the seabed, every large rock, sandbar, and of course shipwreck, if it has a three-dimensional structure. And for the shipwrecks that were smashed or dissolved into the seabed, they also dragged along a second towfish. This orange-colored fish was the magnetometer, an instrument that detects the presence of iron and steel. If the Bonhomme Richard's wooden structure were gone, the only thing that would tip the group off to its location would be the magnetic signaling that its iron cannons, anchors, and ballast would give off. Over the coming weeks, the sea hunters will run the magnetometer and the side-scan towfish through their planned search grid. An almost 1,000 square kilometer box, roughly centering 25 kilometers off Flamborough Head.
The history of the ship itself begins with John Paul Jones. He was born a Scot, and he raised in Scotland and went to sea at 13 and eventually wound up in the United States. And Jones went in the Navy, and then he was made captain of a little sloop called the Ranger, and he was very successful in then actually capturing a British sloop of the same size. Jones then sailed around England. He caused a panic. He went to a small port called Whitehaven. He burned on the ship. That's how he was quite a guy. And then he went to France, and Benjamin Franklin talked King Louis into giving Jones a ship and a small fleet. And because he was grateful to Benjamin Franklin for arranging this for him, he named the ship the Bonhomme Richard after Franklin's paper in Philadelphia, which was called Poor Richard's Almanac.